Hey, how's it going today? I'm Tex. Glad you stopped by to talk to me. Here listening. If you have anything you want to ask, please send it in. I'll be glad to answer questions, either with direct replies or if it's something that I can get on there, I will. Today, I wanted to talk about your frame of mind. And this is an important topic for people to understand when they first come to therapy. I have a lot of people that, come in and they're like, I have these problems and let's just jump right in and fix stuff. And I'm always like, whoa, hold your horses and come back. You need to take a second to start to understand maybe not just what's you're feeling that's upsetting you, but also what's going on in your life that's creating these problems. What's your part in the whole thing? What can you do about it from your end? And also, what about your behavior is actually maybe propagating this and making it just move on down the line and get bigger and bigger and worse and worse? What are you doing to create the problems in your life? I know a lot of times we look and think it's everybody else's fault or everything's fault, but for a minute, I want you to stop and back up your horses and come back here, rein it in. And let's look at the idea of actually what got you into this situation. And most of the time, I explain to people that how your mind works is something that people don't pay attention to. If you can take a minute to think things through and go, what about my mind is actually making this happen or making me perceive it the way it's happening or inviting it into my life? A lot of times when people come into therapy, they want to jump right into stuff that says, oh, this is going to make me feel better. And they get a little perturbed when I say, you've got to learn the basics, at least basics of mindfulness or understanding what's going on. If you can't be introspective, if you can't look at what you're feeling and doing, you're basically being led around. So I'll give you my idea of how this works. The basic form of life, maybe amoeba, something about that small. It goes through life with just one basic attitude. If it feels good, move closer. If it feels bad, move it away. If that tastes good, let's eat that. It doesn't think about the consequences. Ooh, that's yucky, or ow, it hurts, and it moves back. And that's the way the basic amoeba operates. And yeah, all you science people, get off my back. I know it's a lot more complicated, but I'm just trying to give you a basic idea. Then you got what I call the pigeon level. Now, pigeons can be trained. And this guy named Skinner come up with this whole idea about behaviors and how we train people, not just your animals, but if you think about it, your whole life, people get trained to do things. They take that amoeba thing one step further so that you actually start to remember to do things over and over again. The way they train a pigeon, to me, is the way they train people to play the one-armed bandits in Vegas. The pigeon does something, and you watch the pigeon, and when it does something you want it to repeat, you drop some pellets in a little chute down to its little cage, and it goes, "Oh, hey, wait a minute! I got fed when I did this," and it'll try to keep mimicking the behavior that got it fed. And then if you drop a few more every time it does it, after a while, it'll keep doing it over and over and over again, trying to get those pellets. It doesn't think about the consequences of eating a bunch of pellets. It doesn't think about, is there something else going on? Why suddenly the pellet? It just knows that if I do this, I get what I want. Hopefully, at some point, you shift up to what I would consider more a human way of thinking, which is when I do something, or even when I'm thinking something, not just why am I thinking it, but why do I think the way I think? This, they call it metacognition. It's this idea of being able to step back and not just think about the thing, but think about why you think of it that way. And also think about how it affects other people when you do something, not just yourself. So you're trying to think long term what happens to you way down the road. Yeah, this Dunkin' Donut's delicious, but after so many of them over and over again, the donut shifts from your mouth to around your waist, and you don't want that. So you have to think, well, how many can I eat before there's a problem? And when do I need to exercise to, kind of trim this down? How do I handle this? You also think about the other people. If I eat all the donuts in the box, what's everyone else going to eat? And do I want other people to do without? Maybe these are my friends and I want to keep my friends, and they ain't going to stay my friends long if I keep giving them an empty donut box. So thinking about what consequences are coming from your actions and what's going to be a better reward that you may want instead so that you can make actual choices. This allows you then to stop and think, well, why meditate? And a lot of people are like, I don't want to deal with this mindfulness stuff. I don't want to meditate. I don't want to think. Just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. And they're full of malarkey because they're enthusiastic because they're in pain. And as soon as it's a little bit diminished or they get a little bit bored, they don't actually keep doing what they need to do to make things better. And this is part of the idea of right mind, the idea of thinking through things really deep, focusing on them, and going, okay, there's a need for me to repeat this behavior. When I try to get people to think about coping skills, and I said try, and if you've seen my other video, try means fail, because I'll be the first one to say, good Lord, I screw up a lot. I am learning though. As I work with folks, though, it's the idea that if I can get you to understand doing this on a daily basis, maybe several times a day, changes it to a habit, and the habit benefits you. You already have a lot of habits. In fact, that's the problem. We go through life mindlessly, not thinking of anything, just being the amoeba, moving towards things that we want, whether it's to eat them or grab them and multiply or whatever it does that brings us pleasure, or moving away from the painful things. We don't really consider what we're doing and what effect it has on us, those around us, or even our future. So when you travel through life like that, you start to move into pigeon mode and you pick up habits. And those habits, coping skills that they are, sometimes smoking, drinking, chewing your fingernails. There's a lot of things that we do as a habit, and the habit becomes very ingrained. And then you come into therapy and you ask me to wave my magic wand and fix everything, and it don't work that way. You have to be able to change what you're doing. When I ask people to practice a skill, I mean do it daily, and I mean do it while you're calm. If you have a case of where you're getting anxious or upset or angry, and I tell you, back up and practice this skill during the day. And they're like, "Well, why practice it? I'm not upset in the morning, or I'm not practicing at lunch because I don't have time." And I'm like, if you practice it, it becomes second nature. As it becomes second nature, then you're able to use it when you really need it. So, the other part of being mindful of what you're doing is realizing that when things are good, you practice your skills, and you have a lot of skills. You should have a whole toolbox full of them. And being able to breathe, calm yourself down, stop, back up, take a look at things, have rational decisions going on instead of just reacting to everything allows you then to use the skill. So when I say do the deep breathing exercise, at least in the morning, sometime during the day and before you go to bed, I equate it to the idea of kids in school. They practice a fire drill, and most of them at least once a month practice a fire drill, and they do it regardless. And I always ask people, well, do you think they would practice it during the middle of a fire? And they're like, no, you need to know what you're doing. I'm like, that's right. You practice it so that it's such a habit. It's so ingrained in you that when the fire bell goes off, you kind of jump up. Nowadays, the kids look and go, oh, don't forget your phone. Don't leave that here. And they very calmly walk towards the door, get in line, go on out through the hallway and outside and wait by the bench or tree or wherever it is they're designated to wait, and they talk to their friends and they relax. And then when they get the all clear, they go back in. And I've been through a few times when the actual fire alarm got off, and people are a little bit, is it a real one or not? And they make some wisecracks, but overall, they've done this so much, it's routine. They get up, they get in line, they go to the door, they go outside where it's safe. If you only practice your coping skills in the minute of anger, high anxiety, being really sad, then it's hard to have enough practice built up that you're able to overcome that sad situation, that anxious or that angry situation. In your mind, you're so much in the habit of being angry, being depressed, being anxious, that it's hard for the little practice you've done with your coping skill to overcome the big practice you've done with living a life of anger. So part of it is while you're calm, and this is the other thing, as you get emotional on one half of your brain, the part of your brain that tells you what to do, how to do it, to think about it, make decisions starts creeping down. So you become more and more hyped up emotionally, and this part starts dropping. So then you're not able to sit and rationalize why I should breathe, what's the effect of what I do, how to calm myself down. With that in mind, I'd like you to take a minute to think, well, if while I'm calm, I can do that now and find the motivation, the reason to keep doing it, then it becomes ingrained. And then as that happens, when something happens that upsets you, all these things are going off and happening at once, then you're able to snap into that, okay, I need to take a deep breath and bring it down. Or I'm getting upset. I need to go outside and go for a walk. I need to go to the kitchen and get a glass of ice water. I need to go splash cold water in my face. These skills become practiced over and over again. And then you're able to get through those moments when you have really bad anxiety, really bad anger, or when you're feeling really, really down. And also being mindful and paying attention, as the minute it starts to kick in, to back up and use those skills. So being able to think rationally, but also mindfully pay attention, going back again to what it is you're doing, why you're doing it. How can I overcome these things? That gives you the motivation to do it. Actually, part of the mindfulness and part of the meditations is also the meditation on what it is you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. In other words, thinking through things while you're sitting there calm and focused and going, I want to be able to breathe deeply and relax so that I don't get upset and I don't holler at the people that I love, or I don't jeopardize my job, or I don't jeopardize something on the street, getting into a fight with somebody. So while you're able to rationally think through that without the high emotions, you're able to think, okay, there's a reason to do this. And then you do the meditation, you do the deep breathing, you do the exercises, stretching exercises, yoga, all these things that you do, you're doing so that you build up a very strong set of connections in your brain. The more you do something, the more it becomes ingrained. That's why you see golfers who practice the same swing. They practice it in their mind. They practice it when they're getting ready to play. Tennis players, baseball players, all of these athletes, all of these people are doing these things over and over in their mind so that they get those neural connections that allow it to become automatic. Then you have the skills and you're able to think about it. You're able to put it in then almost without thinking. You make that jump between the two. And that's what you want to be able to do. And that only occurs when you keep practicing it day in, day out. People come in and go, hey, I got a session, hey, I got 50 minutes because, people run on the 50-minute hour. I got 50 minutes, fix this problem. I'm thinking, hell, dude, you have 23 other hours in your day. You've been working on this problem. And you've got 6 other days in this week that you've been working on this problem. And as a matter of fact, 52 weeks in a year, and you're how old now, and you've been doing the same thing day in, day out, and you want to stop it like that, you can if you're willing to do the things it takes to prepare for that. Part of our society is that fix it, take a pill, operate, cut it out, have someone else fix the problem for you. Sometimes you have to sit down and fix your own problems, people. And this means doing the things you need to do when you can. I understand it's tough. I understand you're in pain. The thing is, though, is when you're not in pain, when you're feeling good, then you don't want to practice the skills. You're too busy. You're having too much fun. You don't want to think about stuff. That's the perfect time to think about stuff. That's the perfect time to actually put things together. Um, you know, you feel good, so you will put effort into it. It takes a little bit of discipline. So again, don't be the amoeba and don't be the pigeon. Be a person. Think through things. Rationalize. Ask yourself why you're doing it. Why have you been doing it all this time in the past? What did you get out of it? What did you lose out of it? Also ask yourself, how is it affecting the people around me, the people that I love and care about? And how is it affecting people further out from me? See, that's one of the things that I see we have a problem with these days is stopping to think not just about me, not just about mine, but further out, everything around you. And also thinking in more than just outward this way, but through time. What will this mean tomorrow? What will it mean the day after? Those things help motivate you. As you get motivated, you do the practice. You understand what's happened in the past. You try to change it for the future. And you do that in the now, in this moment. So every action you're doing, you think about it. A lot of people go, oh my God, I don't want to go around thinking all the day. And I'm like, well, don't worry. When you're dead, I assume you'll quit thinking. Other than that, you do think. A lot of time you're thinking in your fantasy world, you're having all kind of other thoughts. In other words, you're back to being the amoeba. You're just wandering around. Or you're the pigeon. You're going around trying to get your next bit of pellets. Think further than that. You have the capability, use it. Put yourself together and project, what am I doing? How does it affect me, others, and the future? When you start to do that, that in turn brings you back to motivating so that right now is a good time to start practicing those skills, working your way through it. So work on your state of mind. Think things through. Work on motivating yourself. Practice your skills every day. And then you can move on to the next step, interpersonal skills, learning how to deal with frustration, learning how to regulate your moods better. But it all starts back from the beginning, mindfulness and mind. Thank you much. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to y'all again. Bye.